Hello everyone, Vin Jelly here. This is a time-lapse video of a sketch I did in the garden in my sketchbook using acrylics. I wanted to paint a geranium plant which I've grown recently, and I decided that I would sit on the garden bench and enjoy the sunlight. But as you can see from the time-lapse, the sun really, the light evaded me and it started to disappear quite quickly. I mean, the whole painting took me about an hour and a half, which was fairly swift really. I wanted to utilize the white of the paper underneath the red of the geranium plants to enhance the color and bring it out. So anyway, here's the final sketch study in the sketchbook, and after that I decided it would be a good idea to do another version, a smaller painting in the sunlight. But as fate would have it, the sun shone on me, it shone on all the other flowers in the garden, but hardly shone on the flower I wanted to paint, which is sod's law, but there you go. Anyway, I spent quite a long time drawing the flower and painting it quite carefully so that I had the white underpainting to give the glow through of the reds, which were fairly dull anyway, this particular acrylics I had at the time. Then I'm using a 1/2 inch flat brush to loosely brush in the background and block in some of the larger shapes and make large statements, having already painted the flowers in quite detail, because I wanted those to be the centre of focus and to be quite accurate. So I've given them a first coat and they're really quite reasonably observed. The sunlight's not quite what I wanted, but that's the way of it with plein air. You go with what you've got. So I've blocked in the whole painting now. You can see the different light conditions as the time lapse progresses. The light keeps changing, in, out, in, out. I got quite a suntan while I was painting this. Just my arms were really burnt from the sun. Luckily I had a hat on and the rest of me was fine and covered up. But it's a beautiful day, slightly breezy, lots of birds, lots of insects. So once I've blocked things in, I'm taking my time to re-establish some of those leaves at the bottom, get a fine balance. In the sketch I had quite a kind of cool green mid-ground upon which the lobelia, the blue flowers, were painted. It's not quite as cool in the painting, but it still has a coolness, that mid-ground. But I really want to emphasize a bit of light. You can see the sunlight is actually now catching the flowers, and so I've worked a little bit into those and just enhanced some of the shadows. Here you can see my setup, sitting on the garden bench. Then on we go with it. Here's a bit of real-time footage just to show you how long certain parts of the painting would take. Quite deliberate, using quite small round synthetic brushes, just taking my time to establish various areas, working with some quite subtle complementary darks against the reds just to bring them out a little bit and make those colours stand out, make that red push out a bit more than it would do if you didn't do that. So behind and through the flower petals I've got fairly dark greens, and those help the reds to stand out. They help them to move forwards and become the centre of focus. And here we are back with the time lapse of some of the later stages of the painting now, and you can see how windy it was with the blooms blowing around. So the sketch took about an hour and a half, but the painting was more like 3 hours actually, even though they don't look massively different. There was a lot more work in this study and there was a lot more to consider. So here's the final study, and in a moment you'll see the study and the preliminary sketch. So there they are. See you on the next video, folks.